Okay, I think we fine now. All
Goodbye.
right. Okay. Ladies and
Okay,
gentlemen, welcome to Cheyenne's Forum. Today is November 11th. Here's my dear friend Tom. Tom, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom, for coming to the podcast at the special day. Happy birthday, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have some big questions today. The first one is government shutdown. So it seems like it will reopen pretty soon, just like you expect last week. I just wonder, what's your opinion of what caused the shift within the Democrats Party that led seven or eight Democrats to join Republic in vote to reopen the
I
government?
think originally it was a mistake in strategy on the part of Schumer and the other top leaders of the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought that they could shut the government down
Mhm,
and that there would be an outcry to reopen it, which there was.
mhm,
But based on that, they could convince the Republicans to go along with some of the things they wanted, which was to extend Obamacare for illegal, especially for illegal immigrants,
mhm,
for a longer date. The Republicans had said all along that they would not do that, and
mhm,
I think the Democrats thought they would.
mhm. So it took them almost 40 days to realize that they made a big mistake.
I don't think they realized that they made a big mistake. I think some did. The seven Democrats that came over and voted with the Republicans and also voted that it could be, majority instead of the filibuster rule. And I
Mhm,
think that, some of the people in that group, there was only one Democrat that did not change his position from day one. He was never for the shutdown, and that was John Fetterman, senator from Pennsylvania.
mhm,
And I think a lot of people gained a lot of respect for him.
right,
When he first started out, was elected senator, he was recovering from a stroke and he
right,
still didn't have all of his 100% faculties, but he still was elected senator. Since
mhm,
then, he's been gradually healing
mhm,
and becoming more articulate and becoming more respected. And from the beginning, he said he's not going to go along with the shutdown. He doesn't, it'll hurt the military, it'll hurt a lot of people. He won't do it. And he didn't. And
mhm,
then over time, though, he picked up more allies on the
mhm,
Democratic side, one independent,
mhm,
Senator Angus King from Maine is an independent.
mhm,
But the other Democrats joined him and said, okay, enough's enough.
mhm, right, right.
Especially when they realized that they weren't going to get any concessions from the Republicans. They
Mhm,
weren't going to get an extension of Obamacare. And they weren't going to get all these subsidies for illegal immigrants and some of the things that
mhm,
they thought the Republicans would cave in and give it to them. And the
mhm,
Republicans stood fast and said, no, we're not
mhm,
going to do that.
right. So do you think the Republic is doing good this time by
This
just
time, well, this this time,
right? Yeah. So they did not give anything that Democrats want. So that's why what's his name? The senator I forgot his name. Oh my gosh, he is socialism. Bernie Sanders.
oh, Bernie Sanders, yeah.
He said, "This is our last chance. Just don't give up." He talked to the Democrats people, but seems like they lost. So do you think it's really the last chance for Democrats, just as they
No,
said?
no, there'll be more. He has been saying that every time he loses, which is always over the last several years.
Mhm,
So Bernie Sanders has continuously been shot down on whatever
mhm,
socialism, and now he's has an allegiance with
mhm,
Mamdani, the new mayor of New York, who's not going to have any power, and
mhm,
then of course Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
mhm.
and she's got no real power. So they're making a lot of noise, but they're not getting anywhere with it.
hmm So we talking about when we're talking about the Obamacare, which is a big failure this time, and more people are just still starting to realize that the Obamacare is actually a very bad thing. But some people still don't think Obamacare is bad. It's pretty good. It's covered everyone. It's help people. So, what's your opinion about Obamacare itself?
Well, it was always based on a lie that you would be able to pick your own doctor
Mhm,
and you would have all these benefits from it and you would save money and the premiums would go down and all of the things that were promised didn't happen.
mhm,
But, and then, in the beginning, you had Obama's name attached to it. Oh, he was revered by the rest of the
mhm,
party and many people in the country.
mhm,
And gradually his reputation has gone down and down, keeps going down,
mhm,
and Michelle's as well. And so, he went from advertising himself as a basically a poor kid from Chicago that worked his way through school and member of the state legislature in Illinois, and then he got elected to the Senate, and all of these things that he said how great he was. And in the beginning, I think a lot of people saw that he was. And
mhm,
gradually, he went from being a poor kid from Illinois to a multimillionaire.
mhm,
And I think a lot of people realize that, like many of the others that have gotten rich,
mhm,
in especially in the Democratic Party,
mhm.
they've lost a lot of respect for him. And
Right.
a lot of that also applies to Pelosi. She goes from being worth, almost nothing when she first gets elected to the House of Representatives from San Francisco to
Mhm,
now being worth, I forget what the latest number, $130 million or something,
mhm.
some huge amount. And, her reputation also isn't what it used to be.
Yeah, right. Tom, can you still hear me?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I don't know why it's frozen here. I
I don't
can
know.
hear myself, I can hear you, but the picture of mine is not move at all. But you
Yeah,
still
your video is frozen, but I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So let's just keep going. So yeah, you're right about Pelosi. This is something that I'm going to ask you. And her record of exchange stock beat Dow Jones for 17,000%. And now yesterday, her daughter announced that she gonna run for the California Congresswoman. I
Yeah,
don't know who's gonna vote for her. I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe someone support Pelosi will support her daughter, but I don't know. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll see. We'll see exactly. And
Mhm.
and Pelosi is claiming that she's never bought one stock, that none of the accusations of insider trading are accurate. Well, she controls the committees that have the hearings on various what companies are doing and which company's going to go bankrupt or which company's going to introduce a new product that will make billions of dollars. And she claims none of that inside information was used by her to buy or sell stocks, but her husband did. Well, where did her husband get the information of what to buy or what to sell?
Yeah.
So, that's where the hypocrisy comes in with her, is
Hmm.
that she had inside information and
Hmm.
her husband, her family, therefore, used the inside information to get
Hmm.
extremely wealthy.
Hmm.
And, she basically denies that her wealth is based on any of that.
Right. So I remember, excuse me, Tom, if I'm wrong, please correct me, that if you work for the federal government and you and your spouse will be checked every year, every half year for your financial situation, right? Not only you, but also your spouse. Is that true?
Yeah, I went through that every year that I worked for the federal government, which was 30 years.
Uh-huh.
So I had to fill out forms every year, all of the assets, all of the stocks and bonds, what properties I owned, what I sold, what they sold for, how much money,
Oh,
all of that, as measures against corruption.
right.
Somehow, I think members of Congress somehow exempted themselves from that scrutiny. So I'm assuming that they still had to file forms,
Mm-hmm.
but if she exempted herself and didn't put down anything on her forms saying that she didn't buy the stock, she didn't do any of that.
Mm.
Her husband doesn't work for the government, so he could do what he wants. So I think that was the loophole that she used all these years, that she was a member of the House of Representatives.
Wow, what a shame. Because she's against the law, basically. Because the law asking for you, the person and the spouse to report their financial, to file the financial report.
Well, apparently not members of the House or Senate. So I don't
Well,
know. I don't
mhm,
know what the exemptions are for them to be able to do that.
mhm,
But, they're going to be holding sensitive hearings, have people from these companies come in and testify what
mhm,
their finances are in that company. Is there going to be a new stock offering, or are they going to declare bankruptcy, or what's their status?
mhm,
And, if whether she acted on any of it, well,
mhm.
that's one thing. But if she gave the information to her husband and he acted on it, same thing, insider trading.
Right, exactly. So we'll see. I think someone will come out and say something about it. It's not a small thing, or it's not just a stock exchange. This is about the law. No one above the law.
Well, the problem is that the people in Congress
Mhm.
that would criticize it are also many of them taking advantage of the same thing.
Right.
So you have Republicans and Democrats alike becoming wealthy,
Yeah.
and some of the ones that don't, have no real status to
Mhm.
claim anything. So if you look at somebody like Bernie Sanders, several
Mhm.
years ago, he basically said, "If you're a millionaire, you're a crook," basically is what he said. Well, then eventually it was pointed out,
Mhm.
hey, Bernie, you're now a millionaire. Oh,
Mhm.
never mind. Billionaire. I meant to say billionaire. If you're a billionaire, you're a. And so even there, you have the hypocrisy of the number of houses that they each owned, whether it was Bernie during his time in Congress or Biden when he was a member of Congress all those years.
Mhm.
They cashed in and they made a lot of money and gained a lot of wealth.
Mhm. Right. So, Tom, do you think that we have chance to change it? Because when the founding father form our country, they have lots of thoughts put into the Constitution and put into the laws, the policies. There are reasons behind. And it seems right now the Congresses don't care about that. They're
Well,
more
what the
care.
founding fathers wanted, by the way, and one of the requirements was that you had to have wealth. You had to be white and you had to be all of that to vote as a
Mhm.
member of Congress, but you yourself had to have a stake in the company, I mean, in the country. So
Okay,
you
right.
had to have personal wealth.
Mhm.
The nickname for that is you had to have skin in the game, that you had something to lose. If the country's finances went bad, your
Right,
finances went bad.
right,
And so, those were the requirements. So during the time of the founding fathers, they had to own land or they had to own property. They could not be just
right.
homeless or
Right.
not have a stake in the outcome of the success of the country.
That's right. That's right. When we talk about socialism, communism, you see the leaders are, most of them are just like poor people. They don't have nothing. They come into the political career and they make money from this career, which is against the will of our founding fathers, which I think it's really, they're so wise to
Well, the founding fathers wanted you to already have the wealth from your business dealings or your farming or investments or whatever. The idea was that you wouldn't come into Congress poor and get wealthy.
right. That's the point.
So, but
That's
now that's the point. Many of them come in
mhm.
very poor,
And then they got
don't
arrested.
own land,
Hmm.
don't own slaves anymore. And
Hmm.
suddenly, they become wealthy because of the insider information and the stock trades and some of that.
Right, right, right. And so what do you think the reason of the Democrats are so determined to keep pushing the Obamacare?
Well, they just want the power of it. They want to keep the constituency of poor people and say, we're fighting for you. We're fighting to get health care for your benefit,
Mhm.
and convince basically ignorant voters that the Democrats are on their side
Mhm.
when they're not. When they say they are, but are they really?
No, no, no. So yeah, that's the thing. But I'm so glad that Republic is hold the line this time. So do you
Yeah.
think they're doing a good job for the Congress?
Well, I
Republic.
think this time they realized that they had such an advantage over the Democrats that Schumer, even though he's voted to keep the government open hundreds of times probably in the last several years, this time they pushed this thing thinking, okay, we'll get the Republicans to cave in and do what we want and pass this extension of Obamacare, and it backfired. So they closed the government for 40 days. And when they decided to cave in, or when the seven senators and members of the Senate decided that's enough, um, they decided, okay, that's it. And let's just blame it on Schumer. This was his idea. He's been backing this, keeping the government closed, and uh, and they're not going to get any of the concessions. They're not going to get an extension of Obamacare for illegal immigrants and
Mhm.
some of the other money that they wanted to have allocated. They're not going to get it.
Right, right.
And so finally, some of the members of the Senate itself
Mhm.
started listening to people like Senator Fetterman,
Right.
and decided to go ahead and end the shutdown of the government, that they were not getting what they wanted to get, weren't going to get
Right.
any of the benefits they thought they would get.
Right.
So cut their losses and end the shutdown now.
Mhm.
Now, it's not completely ended yet. The
Mhm.
House still has to concur
Mhm.
today or tomorrow, the next couple of days, to
Mhm.
go ahead and reopen the government.
Mhm.
But we'll see. I think there's still some members of the House that are worried about losing their positions of power or their positions of respect. Guys like Hakeem Jeffries,
Uh-huh.
that, he kind of got in the same boat
Mhm.
with the others that wanted to keep the government shut down, especially Schumer. So they miscalculated basically that the strength of the Republican Party, or the unity of the Republican Party
Mhm.
on this issue.
Right. Yeah. When you said they miscalculate, I'm thinking that you talked this words miscalculate before about how they push the lawfare against Trump. Remember, you said they just the time wise they just calculate mistakenly calculate. They're too late to
Yeah.
push lawfare to Trump. And this time they're mistakenly calculate again. It seems like their math is not that good.
Yeah, it seems like.
Yeah, right. Yeah, before we actually go to another topic, I just like to introduce Trump. I'm so sorry, I forgot to introduce Trump. Tom, the background. He worked in FBI for 30 years and he worked as assistant director of FBI for 5 years and he's retired now. And the next question is regarding the FBI. So I saw Trump Truth, and he tweeted that former FBI special agent Nicole Parker has written a powerful new book. Do you heard about that? The new book is Two FBIs.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
heard I've heard about it.
right. So yeah, what about the book? It's two side of FBI. So I'm just thinking, okay, I'm gonna ask Tom about that.
I don't know, what she says in the book. I haven't read it or seen any excerpts about it.
Uh-huh.
I know that many of the people on the FBI, from the FBI, former FBI, that are on the air as contributors,
Mhm.
in the past, it would be very difficult to get a position in the media as a contributor, like I was,
Mhm.
because the first question would be, what makes you so knowledgeable of how the FBI works? Were you in management? Were you in senior management? Were you an executive? Were you
Mhm.
assigned overseas or other sensitive duties? So if
Mhm.
you were just a street agent somewhere, and all of a sudden you retire or come close to it, they put you on the air. Well,
Mhm.
okay. But the public oftentimes, will take that with a grain of salt that what makes you such an expert?
Mhm. Mhm.
And, I don't know.
Yeah.
She's very articulate. Obviously, she looks great on television, great image, great everything.
Mhm.
Uh, so, how much inside information she would have, not
Right.
having served as management, not having served as an executive, especially at FBI headquarters or overseas.
Mhm.
So, what's she basing her information on? I don't know.
Ah, okay. That's a good point. That's a
And it
good.
may be she may be very accurate, what she says,
Uh-huh.
but how did she get the information, or where did she get that opinion to put in a book?
Right, right. So, you said that if you're just a regular agent, you won't have a lots of knowledge of
Well, you
FBI.
won't have the same knowledge as being a senior executive. You will not have been in some of the very sensitive meetings
Right,
where policies are discussed or current events in the FBI or maybe a crisis that's ongoing that you're going to be involved in trying to solve.
right.
Um, you're not going to have that kind of background. So being an agent is great,
Mhm.
depending on your field office. And if you're a street agent and you're in New York or
Right,
Chicago or Washington field office, if you're in an office that has a number of squads that are doing sensitive investigations and you're knowledgeable of that, great. But if
right.
you're away from mainstream headquarters management, how
Right.
do you know what you know?
Right, right. Yeah, that's very good point. Very good point. But I think her main point is there are two tiers of FBIs. One is like the patriot. They truly love this country and they truly wants to do their job professionally and briefly. And the other layer is the betrayal. And these people are come to FBI for their own purpose, for their own benefits. So I think this is the main point. And also, she point out the weaponize of the FBI. So maybe I think because the book is not delivered yet, people can reorder that. But still, the main point is that there are good people, men and women in FBI, but there are some bad guys in the bureau.
There are people that joined, what I think for the wrong reasons. Now, I
Mhm.
can remember vividly the day that I was sworn in to be an FBI agent
Mhm.
in September 1979. And I
Mhm.
can remember, being one of a class of 30. And while we're waiting for, one of the executives that's going to come in and swear us in to be agents,
Mhm.
I can remember some of us, that were former police officers like me or former military officers, um, and many of them saying that this was the greatest, moment in their life to be sworn in and be an FBI agent. And they're going to be in here for the next 20 or 30 years as long as they can stay.
Mhm.
And I was kind of one of those. When I get sworn in, when I get my credentials,
Mhm.
they're going to have to pry them out of my hand when I reach the time I'm no longer eligible to be an agent. Well, that basically happened because
Mhm.
as an agent, when you turn uh, 57, at the time it was 55, but they raised it. So when you're 57 years old,
Mhm.
that month, the last day of that month, which
Mhm.
for me was November 30th, 1979,
Mhm.
that's the end of it. You have to turn in your credentials and you're out.
Mhm.
Mandatory retirement. And
Mhm.
I can remember telling my, future agent mates
Mhm.
that that's going to be me. This is my childhood dream come true to be an FBI agent, and they're going to have to pry the credentials out of my hands when I reach my 57th birthday.
Mhm.
Excuse me. And I can remember some people in the class
Mhm.
saying, not too many, but there were one or two that said, well, I just wanted to be an FBI agent to get the top secret clearance
Mhm.
and to have the title. And then in a couple of years, I'm going to use that to get a high level job in private security or private sector or
Mhm.
academia or somewhere. So they were wanting the title of special agent that
Right.
they could say, look, I went through all of this scrutiny to be
Uh-huh.
hired as an agent, and now
Mhm.
I'm going to cash in. So 4 or 5 years in the FBI, I'm going
Mhm.
to go do something else.
Okay.
So some of the people that you see now as commentators about the FBI,
Mhm.
when did they leave and why? Why did they leave the FBI? What was the matter?
Right.
So compared to in the past, most of the time a contributor,
Mhm.
a very good friend of mine is still a contributor, and I see him on Fox News. I saw him this morning, Chris
Mhm.
Swecker. We
Mhm.
came up together, in different offices, but at
Mhm.
the same levels, getting promoted about the same time,
Mhm.
both becoming eventually assistant directors.
Mhm.
And I think he was 1 or 2 years younger than me, so he didn't hit mandatory as
Yeah.
fast as I hit it. But I became mandatory in November of 2008.
Mhm.
That's it. So you're no longer eligible. Turn in your credentials
Mhm.
or turn them into the bureau and they'll mount them on the plaque like you see on the wall behind me, my FBI credentials and
Mhm.
pins for the number of years.
Right.
And so there were many of us that were like that. We're going to stay till the last minute,
Mhm.
and many that the first chance they had to cash in went ahead and took the chance.
Right. Right. Oh my. So what's your feeling at that day that you have to uh leave FBI? The birthday, 57th birthday. Do you feel sad? Do you feel disappointed? Do you feel a little release? What do you feel? Do you still
I
remember?
felt sad. I felt ashamed that it was a shame that I had to take all
Uh-huh.
my knowledge. I was running international operations as an assistant director. I had contacts all over the world with the heads of governments and the heads of police. And I was responsible for all of the FBI's attaches around the world in 80 different countries.
Mhm.
And, no, and I was also, a SWAT team commander and emergency response executive. And
Mhm.
I just had the feeling that never again will I do anything as important or anything as that
Mhm.
matters like this.
Mhm.
That'll be it. You can quit and go to work for a company or go to work for whatever. It
Mhm.
won't be the same. It won't be as important.
Right, right. It's just like a term. It's like a Congress. You need to have a term. You cannot work until you're 85 years old, right? So you guys have a term. It's 57, but you can still work in FBI after a year of 57, the
Yeah,
age of
you could work, you could be an analyst or you can be the
right.
janitor, you could still work in the FBI. But the problem is
Not the
that
same.
when you've had the responsibilities of a special agent,
Uh-huh.
especially a special agent that also happens to be an executive,
Right.
then you know that nothing else. It's kind of the equivalent, let's say, of you're an Air Force pilot and
Right.
you're in combat flying fighter jets and all of this, and the time comes that you can no longer fly. Are you going to be happy being a mechanic? It's kind of like that. You can still work for the Air Force or the Army or whatever,
Mhm.
Navy,
Mhm.
but you won't have the same
Mhm.
title, you won't have the same responsibility,
Mhm.
and it won't be the same. Now, senior generals, they can stay but there's not many that can do that.
Right, right. So, because you become a policeman and you become FBI agent, so what's the difference between these two?
Well, if you're a police officer, you're you're working for the state law enforcement. So the
Mhm.
laws of the state, in my case, Illinois,
Mhm.
and the town that, what I was a police officer in, you enforce those laws. So you make arrests of people, you investigate those cases, arrest people that broke Illinois law or whatever other state you live in.
Right.
The FBI, you're investigating and enforcing federal law, applies
Mhm.
to the whole country, not just your state. So that's the difference.
Yeah, the
So you,
FBI for the federal for the
yeah, so
50.
you study when you're going through the police academy as a police officer, you're
Mhm.
studying the state laws that you're
Mhm.
going to be responsible for enforcing. If you're
Mhm.
going to be a patrol officer, like I was my first couple of years, you're
Mhm.
studying traffic law,
Right.
enforcing, traffic violations, investigating traffic accidents, also investigating whether it's burglary or theft. Now, some crimes are both federal and state. So
Right.
if somebody robs a bank,
Uh,
uh, as was the case,
mhm,
the individual doing that or group that do that are violating state law for armed robbery and
mhm,
federal law because bank robbery is also a federal crime. So
mhm,
some laws break state and local and federal law at the same time,
mhm.
but many do not. And then in those cases, the executives from both sides decide who's going to take the case, who's going to have the lead. Um, so you have the special agent in charge, which I was a couple of times, and the local chief of police. And it will also be based on the district attorney's office that's going to prosecute the state crime and
Mhm,
the U.S. attorney's office who will prosecute the federal crime. And
mhm.
often what the decision of who's going to take the case often is contingent on who will have the best chance to convict and get a penalty. And
Ah,
so that's how often
uh,
it's decided who will take what case.
sure, sure. So what is the FBI agent resources like? You can come from a police officer, you can come from a military, and where else the agent will come from?
Well, anywhere, when you take the exam, there's no set criteria that we want only police officers or we want only lawyers or accountants or any of that. So you take a written exam, which is kind of like the law school admissions test, something like that.
Mhm.
Multiple choice written exam, and that's the first cutoff of who's going to continue in the application.
Right.
So, like in my case, the year I was hired, 1979, I
Mhm,
take the written test,
mhm.
and that year, 42,000 people applied to be an agent,
Oh.
all having to take that test. And
Mhm,
then, depending on how you score and all of that, it whittles down. The background investigations, the physical three separate interviews with people that are going to be your peers if you get hired.
mhm,
All of those things are designed to whittle it down. So in my case,
mhm,
out of 42,000 qualified applicants to be a special agent,
mhm.
that year, 1979, they hired 300.
Whoa,
So that was how tough it was to continue and get to the final point where you got offered the job.
that's less than 1%.
All right,
Oh, wow. So I know that's what the proud come from. It's tough. It's really tough.
all right.
As tough as to go to Harvard. Let's say that. It's really okay, great. Well, once again, thank you so much for the service for this country. And also, I can see that you just love to do that. You just love to serve this country as many as you can, as much as you can. So thank you so very much.
No,
And
you're right. The day that I had to no longer be an agent was one of the saddest days in my life. It was
I,
like dying. It was like, okay, I'm never again. I'm 57, which is pretty
Mhm.
young, and I'm never going to have the level of responsibility
Mhm.
or deal with a number of issues, some life and death. I'll never be in that position again.
Right, right.
And so that's a sad. Now I can talk about it and be an analyst, be a contributor,
Mhm.
do stuff like that, but it's not the same.
Right, right. But you have lots of good memories, and then yeah, you can tell us and encourage us to understand this country, and maybe encourage the next generation to serve as FBI agents, to be the good one, to continue.
Hopefully, yes. Yeah, you're right.
That's great. And then also we're talking about the shutdown for the government, and then some people said Democrats intentionally to do that for helping the election of the New York mayor, the New Jersey governor, and then Virginia, etc. And also people talking about midterm of next year is which is coming soon. So, what is your opinion of the midterm of next year? How is the battle over the distracting the Congress map will affect the next year midterm?
Well, some of that's we're gonna have to wait and see because some of these battles are in the courts, up to
Mhm,
the Supreme Court. Some of the rules, like in California, your state, where Newsom had an independent commission to do the districting, aligning the districts,
mhm,
and he abolished that, and he wants to decide where the district boundaries will be, so
mhm,
that they can set them up to align to elect Democrats, more
mhm,
Democrats than Republicans. So
mhm,
this is these battles are still going to be continuing uh, into next year, into the midterms. Now, the
mhm,
other interesting thing is that a lot of the recent elections, New Jersey governor, Virginia governor,
mhm,
New York City mayor,
mhm,
when Trump's not on the ballot, it's a different matter. And so these local elections, he didn't really get any kind of major endorsement himself
mhm,
out of Winsome Sears in Virginia,
mhm,
or Citarelli in New Jersey, and of course nobody in New York.
mhm,
So so it was a different dynamic,
mhm.
these recent elections, compared to what it's going to be 12 months from this month,
Right.
November 26th.
Mhm,
And then we'll see what happens there,
mhm,
and that'll continue to November 28th, which is the next presidential election. And obviously, Trump won't be on that ballot.
mhm.
Whether it's J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or somebody else rises up, it's not going to be Trump.
Right, right.
Now,
Yeah.
Trump's going to have a lot of influence,
Mhm,
but not the same as being on the ballot.
right, right. So we'll see. We'll see what's gonna happen. And yeah, some people from your state talk about Yankee. They actually are not happy with what Yankee's doing uh, for losing this battle. Not him, but Republican. So what's your opinion of the Virginia?
Well, Youngkin, he became fairly popular, but when he was elected, Virginia has, limitations on how long you can be, how many elections you can do in a row. And
Hmm.
so what happened is one of the governors before him was McAuliffe, who
Hmm.
was popular with Clinton and in the Democratic Party. And McAuliffe was running to be governor again, not reelected, but he had sat out. Now he's coming back in. Excuse me. And Youngkin, of course, rising up out of nowhere to oppose him. Now,
Hmm.
right before the election, at that time, Youngkin was losing by about 8 or 10 points.
Right.
Wasn't even going to be close.
Hmm.
And McAuliffe, stupidly, the weekend before, on the Saturday or Sunday before the Tuesday of the election that year, he speaks out against the parents who are arguing with school boards in Virginia about the education of their children. And
Uh-huh.
McAuliffe basically said that they should have no say in the school's curriculum or how the school board should be in charge of your children.
Uh-huh.
Well, Youngkin jumped on that. That
Hmm.
was all over the media in Virginia at the time, and that cost McAuliffe the election because parents didn't think that. Parents thought, they should have a say in what their child learns in school, what the policies of the schools are.
Hmm.
So that was the difference.
Hmm.
And then Youngkin can't run again. So Winsome Sears rises up, and she was the lieutenant governor. She's going to run for governor. And she
Hmm.
just somehow didn't really connect the way Youngkin had connected. And Virginia is becoming increasingly a blue state,
Hmm.
especially Northern Virginia, with the number of federal employees,
Hmm.
number of liberals. So the counties like Loudoun County, Fairfax County, and a couple of others had become extremely
Hmm.
blue. And so Winsome Sears was not going to be able to carry the election and be elected governor.
Right. So Yankee only worked for one term, right?
Right.
He can come out and still re try to re-elect. He should, right? He or this is his first term, right? For
Yeah,
Yankee.
yeah,
Okay. So he decided not to run a rerun. So yeah,
right,
Virginia lost, but it's okay, right? Not too bad as the year 2020. What do you think
right.
is it's okay? Virginia people are happy with the result? Seems like.
Seems like, I think.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so the last question is about the disinformation effect from China. The China psychologically and informed warfare portraying the U.S. as a declaring power. This we're talking about something between China and America. It seems like Chinese propaganda. For example, the what happened in Maui, Hawaii, the big fire. When that happened, Chinese propaganda sought to reinforce an image of U.S. incompetence, moral decay, and systematically collapse. So these ways reflect the Chinese adoption of dissipative warfare, and
I
it's a
know.
modern strategy framework for the age of AI. So this is something that we are facing right now, or maybe not right now, start a long time ago. Is there any way that American to fight back with that, the disinformation?
Well, the thing
Well,
is that, you have disasters in China all the time,
right.
you know,
Mhm,
floods and blizzards and you name it. And
mhm,
so for them to call out the US and say, oh, your policies are no good, and that's why Maui burned,
right,
or the Palisades in California, the towns next to it.
right.
Um, I think a lot of people just look at it like, okay, it's typical Chinese propaganda,
Mhm,
and we put out our own counter propaganda. So
mhm,
what?
mhm. So this job is if American do something back, it belongs to FBI or CIA to do this fight back.
Well, the
As
whole government's going to fight back. It's actually up to the State Department when it
Mhm,
comes to the policies and the politics of one country and another country. The
mhm,
FBI's primary responsibility is to investigate violations of U.S. law.
mhm,
The CIA is supposed to investigate the spying, and they're supposed to do spying overseas and
mhm,
all of that. So I think that, in this case, it wasn't that much. Right now, what the FBI is mainly concerned with China is the amount of espionage they do here to steal our technology. So they
mhm,
don't spend the money on research and development that US companies do. They just
mhm,
wait till our companies develop it and then they steal it. That's
right.
been going on since the end of World War II. You look at the nuclear programs.
Mhm,
Russia had spies in the Manhattan Project, which
mhm,
was the project to develop the US atomic bomb.
mhm,
And China later kind of did the same thing.
mhm,
So Russia basically stole our plans.
mhm,
We developed the atomic bomb in 1945 and dropped two in Japan.
mhm,
But by 1949, the Soviet Union had their own. And they got it because they had spies that were infiltrated into our research project to develop the atomic bombs, both,
mhm,
uranium and plutonium bombs.
mhm,
Um, China, when they come to be the People's Republic of China in 1949, it's basically the same thing. In a certain amount of time, they're going to steal our technology and have their own.
mhm, mhm,
So you have Russia, China, and the US have nuclear weapons.
mhm,
You
right.
know, before 1950, all three have nuclear weapons.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
So it is seems like that American is not worried about or not worried about enough about a fact or a spice in American soil from China, from Russia, rather than they are very concerned about American spice in their soil. It seems like American people is just like, oh, we don't care, we're strong enough, so it's okay.
No, that's not true.
Uh-huh.
because espionage against the US is a major concern of the FBI, and espionage itself is a major operation of the CIA all over the world.
Right.
But they're conducting the espionage outside the US.
Right.
The FBI is fighting espionage within the US,
Right.
whether it's the professors come over. There's 360,000 students in the United States from China. How many are here to learn certain things, and how many are spying?
Right. Right.
Good percentage of both. So,
Right.
so yeah, that's a major concern of the U.S. is who is here stealing our technology, especially the amount of money that goes into research and development.
Right.
What these companies spend developing,
Right.
whether it's weapons or technology, computers, you name it.
Right. And to my opinion, I think American is actually at the weak position on this fire, on this wall, because the American society is an open society. People can just come in rather than China. They are considered closed country. So we are just open and people just come here, but they are closed. We cannot come there. So how can we fight this kind of wall?
Well, when these programs are being worked by these companies, the research and development, who is in the project? Who are they? Then they become suspicious of someone in that project that may be sending the information to other countries,
Mhm.
not just China, but from other countries as well.
Mhm.
So, so yeah,
Right.
you know,
So
the
go ahead.
the
I'm sorry.
government becomes suspicious based on people giving them information.
Right. So we need to put more like management, more manpower to manage that. This is at least we need to do, right?
Well, basically, but it depends really on the administration in power. So if you
Hmm.
have somebody like Biden's presidency, it
Hmm.
was like anything goes. We
Yeah,
don't
right,
care who comes in. Everybody and their uncle is welcome here, and if they're stealing our technology, that's a shame.
right,
And so they didn't take it very seriously from the White House, let's say,
right.
from the presidency. So
Sure.
yeah, that's a big deal.
Right. So, well, thank you so much, Tom. And we have last 1 minute or two. So we want to just wrap up and tell people that what's important happened in this week or, yeah, something that you think people need to know.
Well, I think if people are following what's going on with Congress and reopening the government, I think that's all pretty important information. And I think that, the politics of Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries in the House, that they're going to try to intimidate the Republicans, intimidate Trump.
Hmm.
And and basically they got nothing out of shutting the government down.
Right.
And so now they're going to reopen it. And
Hmm.
what did they get? Nothing.
Right. So this is a good news, and no, I think and we need to give the congrats to the Republican. They hold the line this time, and it works.
Yeah. And they don't always, but I think this time, Trump laid down the law that they will hold the line.
Yeah, right. Well, this is a good news, and this is a good week. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you for spending time with us as this special day, and I wish you again happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Sure, I'll see you next week then.
See you next week.
Bye bye, Tom.
Bye bye.
Bye.